Eleanor had just turned 75, and most of her friends had already started slowing down. Walks were shorter, hobbies were gentler, and days were measured by how much rest they could get. But Eleanor was different. She had always believed that age was a number, not a sentence, and she still moved through her days with energy, curiosity, and a quiet confidence that made people stop and notice. Her secret, she realized, wasn't magic. It was a set of habits and abilities she had nurtured over decades, small practices that kept her sharp, strong, and alive. The first thing Eleanor could do was walk briskly for at least 30 minutes every day. It wasn't a leisurely shuffle. It was purposeful, rhythmical, and consistent. Her neighbors often watched her stride past, a spring in her step, and marveled at her stamina. She knew that walking wasn't just about the legs. It strengthened the heart, maintained balance, and kept her thinking clearly. She credited her daily walks for more than just physical health. They were meditative, giving her time to reflect, plan, and connect with the world around her. Second, Eleanor could bend and stretch without pain. Most people her age groaned as they tried to reach a shelf or tie their shoes, but Eleanor moved with fluidity. She practiced gentle stretching every morning, focusing on shoulders, hips, and spine. Flexibility, she knew, wasn't just about exercise, it was about independence. Being able to reach, bend, and move freely meant she could continue doing daily tasks herself without relying on others. Third, she could lift moderate weights or carry groceries with ease. Eleanor believed in functional strength. She didn't spend hours in the gym, but she incorporated small forms of resistance, carrying bags, lifting light weights, gardening, and occasional stair climbs. This strength wasn't just for vanity. It kept her safe from falls, enabled her to travel comfortably, and allowed her to help friends and family when needed. She felt empowered, knowing she could manage her body even in her later years. Fourth, Eleanor could maintain her balance on uneven surfaces. Whether it was walking on cobblestones during her weekend trips to the farmer's market or standing on a patch of grass during a picnic, she rarely stumbled. Balance, she knew, came from strong core muscles, awareness, and practice. She often laughed when younger people tried to race her across rough terrain, impressed by her poise. Her balance was a symbol of control over her body, a tangible sign of vitality that many at her age had lost. Fifth, she could engage in meaningful social interactions. Eleanor loved to talk, listen, and connect. She hosted weekly tea gatherings for her friends, volunteered at the library, and kept in touch with her grandchildren through video calls. Conversation wasn't just entertainment, it was exercise for her brain. Studies had shown that social engagement reduced cognitive decline, and Eleanor experienced it firsthand. Being socially active kept her thinking, remembering, and feeling emotionally connected, and she considered this one of the most important abilities to maintain as she aged. Sixth, Eleanor could prepare and enjoy a healthy meal. Cooking was a joy for her, not a chore. She chopped, sautéed, and experimented with flavors, ensuring her meals were nutritious and balanced. Preparing her own food meant she controlled her diet, keeping chronic conditions like high blood pressure and diabetes at bay. The act of cooking engaged her senses, her mind, and her creativity. Sharing meals with friends and family added another layer of satisfaction, reinforcing the connection between nourishment and joy. Seventh, she could read, write, and engage her mind daily. Eleanor devoured books, wrote letters to friends, and kept a journal of reflections and ideas. Mental agility, she knew, was as important as physical fitness. She challenged herself with puzzles, learned new recipes, and explored local history. Her mind remained sharp because she refused to let it rest, treating each day as an opportunity to learn and grow. Finally, Eleanor could adapt to new technologies and situations. Many people in their 70s resisted change, but she embraced it. She learned to use video calls to stay in touch with distant relatives, online banking to manage her finances, and smartphones to capture photos and organize her schedule. Flexibility in thought and action, she realized, was the key to staying independent and confident in a rapidly changing world. Eleanor's life was proof that age did not dictate limitation. The 8 abilities she maintained: brisk walking, flexibility, strength, balance, social engagement, cooking, mental stimulation, and adaptability made her a rare gem, someone who not only survived into her 70s and 80s, but thrived. Friends and family often asked her secret, expecting a magical pill or extraordinary genetics. She always smiled and said, "It's simple. Keep moving, keep learning, and never stop caring about yourself and the people around you." Her story spread quietly through her community. Younger generations were inspired not just by her physical abilities, but by her vitality, her laughter, and her zest for life. Eleanor wasn't just an example of longevity, she was an example of how to live fully, proving that maintaining certain habits could turn the later decades of life into a period of energy, purpose, and happiness.